What is the weirdest thing you've heard or had happen to you while using a public restroom? I walked into a public bathroom at a beach and found a big bearded guy nervously staring at the ceiling above the stall while using the only urinal. As I stepped past him toward the stall, he screamed stop. Since his hands were already full, he could only gesture upward with his head. I looked up and saw a very large pigeon sitting in a nest in the corner, with a super thick Slavic dialect. Bearded guy says, "Never trust a mother bird." He washed his hands, still staring at the nest, and backed out of the bathroom. In his defense, he did you a solid. Birds might F you up if you get too close to their nests. When I was younger, high school age, I had been constipated for a few days. I got the urge while I was in the mall and went to the bathroom. It was empty when I got there and was having a rough time pushing this meteorite out. Then I hear some people walk in, a man and a woman talking. Then they started making out. Now I was a pretty shy kid, so I tried hard not to make noise and be noticed. Next thing I know, I can see through the crack in the stall that the girl is taking off her pants. I guess it escalated to the point where I was getting nervous, which caused the giant I was trying to take to rock it out. They of course noticed, and she says, "Oh someone's in here," then they rushed out. When I was a kid, my parents worked in a university as professors and I would go to their offices after school until they finished work and we would go home. Importantly, the men's and women's bathrooms were right next to each other, and they had the type of ceilings which are tiles resting on a grid type metal grid. One day, I was about 10 years old. I went to the bathroom. I was sitting on the toilet in the stall and for some reason looked up. Directly over my head, there was a guy looking down at me. He had climbed up from the men's side, removed the ceiling tiles, and was peeping at the female college students as they went to the bathroom. Apparently I was the first person that looked up. Dude, this happened at my high school, but the guy got stuck up there and had to get rescued, then expelled. I walked into a public bathroom just as my friend started calling me. I pull out my phone and say, "What's up, man?" and hear a strange voice behind the stall go, "Just taking a sh." I said my friend's name several times, trying to hint to the dude taking a sh that I'm not talking to him. Instead, the dude in the bathroom keeps insisting that that's not his name. I left without taking a piss. There was hot water in the toilet. Not that I directly touched the toilet water, but the whole thing was radiating heat. Okay, so this reminds me of a story my uncle told me about one of his first experiences as an architect in Australia after moving there from Canada. He was called into a meeting with a bunch of other people, and in the meeting they got discussing the toilets in the commercial building they were designing, and someone asked if they wanted to run hot water to the toilets. "Why would you want to run hot water to the toilets?" my uncle asked. A bunch of people look slightly confused at my uncle's question, and his new co-worker answers, "So that people's hands don't get cold when they're washing them. Like, this should be obvious. People are washing their hands in the toilet?" my uncle asks. Yes. He was not aware that Australians refer to the whole room as the toilet, so they were wanting to run hot water to the bathroom so that people would have warm water to wash their hands. He got a lot of weird looks that day, and I'm sure everyone probably avoided shaking his hands. I went into a Target to take a pee. After relieving myself, it was a photo finish. I turned to wash my hands. In the sink, there was a goldfish in a plastic bag. Now, Target doesn't sell fish, so it was kinda odd to say the least. I could tell there was a person in one of the stalls. Concerned that this goldfish had been abandoned, I nervously asked the dude in the stall if this was his fish in the sink. A deep A voice boomed back at me. "What?" I repeated my question. "Is this your fish in the sink?" There was a long pause, as if the Target pooper was trying to understand my question. He finally replied, "Nah, man. That ain't my fish." So I took it home. Had to buy a whole setup, tank and filter, etc. And that's the story of how I rescued a goldfish from the Target bathroom. Same thing happened to me about a year ago, except I found my fish at a bus stop all by himself on my way home from work. Got the whole setup too and is still kicking it here to this day. Someone was taking a shit, eating and talking on the phone. I was disgusted and impressed with the multitasking. I was out drinking one evening, went to go to the bathroom, and there were 3 ladies blocking the guy's bathroom. They told me I couldn't go in. It was the only bathroom in the place and I had to piss bad. I waited about 20 seconds, then pushed past them. As I walk in, there is one dude at the end of the line of urinals with his dong out, not facing a urinal. He's giving it a pep talk saying things like, "Come on bud, you can do it and don't let me down again." I take quite a long piss and he keeps talking to his dong the entire time. I exited the restroom and told my buddy what happened. He had to see it for himself, so he went to the restroom. Same girls outside trying to stop him and same dude in there still trying to sweet talk his wang into doing something. Sitting on the toilet in a Denny's bathroom. The large plastic toilet paper holder was just missing the cover. So when I pulled on the toilet paper roll, it fell off and rolled perfectly under the stall wall and fell over right behind the feet of a man standing at the urinal next door. The man must have seen it because I instantly hear him say, "Ope, I got it. Thanks," I said, expecting him to finish his business then help me out. What I did not expect was for him to bend down to pick it up right then and there, but not how one normally bends down. I can guarantee he was midstream when he leaned over backwards like F.I. Neo in the Matrix. I see his legs bend forward, then see his hand reaching down behind him. He bends over far enough to grab the roll. Stream still going. It was a urinal with water in the base so I could hear it. He grabs it and perfectly rolls it back over to me. Gives a thumbs up. Then stands straight up again. Uneffing real. Someone thanking Jesus out loud after every splash. Was pissing at a urinal and the guy next to me said, "Don't judge me. I'm a grower, not a shower." I mostly ignored him. Then he asked me if I wanted to buy some weed from him. But before I could answer, which would have been no, he said, "Well, it isn't real weed. It's fake weed. Doesn't actually get you high. It's what I smoke when I'm practicing guitar. Keep it weird, Austin." I was in a stall at work browsing Reddit after using the toilet and just killing time until my break was over, when what can I only tell was a somewhat older man shuffling his way over to the stall next to mine. He then lets out a thunderous fart and sits on the toilet and moans out, "Oh dear God, it's the end of days." I immediately put myself together and left that restroom before I heard any more. Someone in a Toronto second cup bathroom warned me that dolphins are not to be trusted and told me about how they are mind controlling humans while I peed. He's not wrong. Okay, gay bar, me, a lesbian, goes looking for the women's bathroom, no luck. Directions unclear, not my language. Okay, men's restroom it is. Half dozen urinals in front of half dozen stalls. First stall, no door. Second stall, broken door. Third stall, dirty F, and so on. Until I find one that closes, but does not lock. Who cares? Men here don't care for my junk. Time to pee. And I can hold the door with my hand. Middle of my business. 2 pints of beer leaving my body. Someone yanks the door open. And here it is. 6 feet 3 huge man. Muscle and fat. Dressed up as a Valkyrie. Helmet. Horns. Sword. But with a floral granny nightgown underneath, and just stops and stares at me. And I'm there, pissing and staring open-mouthed at this giant. I don't even know what. As soon as the pee stops, he just says, "Well, you done?" I nod. Wipe and guys. He already was sitting down on the toilet as I was yanking my pants up. And he told me to close a stall door as I went out. Valkyrie man. Guardian of Stalhalla. Not necessarily a public restroom. I worked at a financial company with over 2,000 people in one office. There are around 10 different bathrooms in the building, all with multiple stalls, urinals. Anyway, I was on my break and ran to the bathroom to relieve myself. I saw someone in one of the stalls because feet and doors were closed. As I walk up to the urinal, I hear the guy sneeze. I say, "Bless you," like people do for some reason. Guy in the stall hits me back with, "That wasn't a sneeze. I just left and went to a different bathroom." Was using the urinal in the Port Authority men's room when some random guy walks up behind me and says, in a raspy voice, "Hey kid, I like your hair." Still peeing. I turn around and say thanks, and he says, "You like pineapple?" Caught off guard, I ask, "What, pineapple?" At this point I'm zipping my pants back up and starting to turn around to face him. He then points to underneath the wall of the first bathroom stall to a black plastic bag, like one from the liquor store, and says, "Yeah, you wanna buy one?" I got one right there, it's delicious. Sure enough, there's a black plastic bag with a pineapple sticking out of it on the floor of the Port Authority men's room. I told him I was allergic to pineapple. He seemed shocked and, quite frankly, really sad that I couldn't eat his delicious pineapple. and we parted ways. I walked into the bathroom at a hospital food court, was in dire need to relieve myself. As I walked in, I heard some thumping from one of the stalls, like someone was gently pounding on the stall walls. Then I saw two pairs of shoes, one in front of the other, under the closed stall door. Due to my need to empty my bladder, I decided to ignore what I saw and took care of business. As I was walking out, the stall door opened, and one of the food court employees came out, alone. He had been changing into his uniform on his way to work, including his shoes. I actually had thought it was two guys having sex in the stall. He must had thought I was crazy as I walked out of the bathroom laughing hysterically at myself. Once upon a time I was in Europe and accidentally locked myself inside of a stall that had a toilet I couldn't figure out how to flush, and then a door I couldn't figure out how to open. I had to climb over the stalls because the gap wasn't big enough below. So I'm making my great escape and some dude walks up to the stall and I make a small noise. He looks up and I just hope he has forgotten it by now. When I was 7, I went to Italy for the first time and locked myself in so many janky bathrooms that my mom stopped letting me go by myself. She would wait outside to make sure I got out okay. It was in my small college town, somewhere around 2015. It was Halloween, and I was stumbling back towards my dorm more than slightly intoxicated when I very urgently needed to pee. I'm not one for peeing in public, so I started looking around for places I could stop for the needed pit stop. There was a bar still open on the main strip I had to walk past, so I decided to shuffle in and try to get to the bathroom before a staff member could ask me to buy something. It was empty inside. People had mostly headed off to their separate Halloween parties. I somehow made it to the bathroom without incident, but immediately paused in place. Inside the bathroom were 4 men in hooded robes, standing silently and facing each other. I'm internally a little weirded out but also laughing, because Halloween shenanigans I'm sure. But then they all start moving, as though animated at once. One starts washing his hands for a while longer than is necessary. One is just drying his hands for a while longer than necessary, and I'm relatively sure it was never even wet in the first place. One of them is holding an M&M wrapper and he's peeling it into small pieces, fitting them to the inside of a nearby urinal and placing others in his pocket. He then handed me one of the torn pieces while asking me, "Do you fear death?" My dude, this guy's delivery was simultaneously one of the most hilarious and eerie things I've ever heard. Something about his inflection upwards on the "my dude," combined with the stone cold way the sentence began. I was unsure how to respond. I think I told him something like, "Hard to say, I've never almost died." He nodded as though my words were profound and affecting. They then all returned to their robotic strange bathroom rituals, not quite ever progressing in their respective tasks. I washed my hands, dried them, and walked out before any one of the men had finished whatever it is they seemed to be doing. The bathroom door clicked shut behind me, and suddenly I'm back in the sleepy bar ambience, counters being wiped, and chair stacking was beginning. I shuffled out and away into the Halloween night, with no clear idea what the hell just happened. Whatever it was, I still remember it these several years later. I was in the bathroom of movie theater peeing in a urinal when I felt something tug on my shirt. I turned around and there was this little kid, had to be younger than 5. He asked if I could hold him up so he can pee in the urinal next. We are the only ones in this bathroom and I'm peeing because I just got out of a movie. I had such a dad moment though because I said, "Ask your mom." He said okay and skipped out of the bathroom. I didn't even wash my hands. I just wanted to be out of there before a Dateline camera crew showed up. All these comments saying I was peeing and turned around I'm imagining as a full body turn while still peeing, now on the floor or person behind them. Not me, but it happened to my son. He was about 4 maybe 5 at the time. We were on vacation in San Francisco, CA. We were on Fisherman's Wharf and my son and I went in to use the restroom. It was cool and rainy day and the tile floors were wet. We go in a stall so he could pee as all the urinals were taller than him. So he drops trow and hikes up his shirt and jacket and saddles up to the toilet and he starts peeing. Well, he is on his tippy toes and all of a sudden he is head first in the toilet. He slipped and nosedived into the toilet. He was soaked head to waist. I get him out of the toilet. I'm struggling so hard trying not to laugh. I get him out and strip his shirt and jacket off of him and just put them in the trash and wash and dry him off. Take my jacket and put it on him. He's crying and I'm dying from laughter inside. We get out of the bathroom and head to the nearest store and get him a new shirt and jacket. Then find my wife and daughter, who both proceeded to ask why he was in all new clothes. Then once I tell them, they start laughing. He still hates when I bring up the time he fell into the toilet at Fisherman's Wharf.